Hello, I'm Sister Tandy. Today we are talking about diversity, inclusion, and dignity, but not in the way you might expect. We are not talking about policy documents or compliance checklists. We are talking about the direct, measurable impact that inclusion and exclusion have on the health of every person in a workplace. Research is clear. People who feel excluded, devalued, or discriminated against at work suffer measurable health consequences: elevated blood pressure, disrupted sleep, elevated cortisol, and higher rates of depression and anxiety. Inclusion is not only an ethical obligation, it is a health intervention. Let's begin. When a person experiences discrimination, being passed over for a role they are qualified for because of race, gender, disability, or age, their body registers it as a threat. The same stress response we discussed in Phase 3 is activated. Cortisol rises, blood pressure spikes, and sleep is disrupted. Research published in the American Journal of Public Health found that experiences of racial discrimination are significantly associated with hypertension, depression, and reduced immune function. The health impact of exclusion is not abstract, it is measurable. It shows up in the medical findings of a workforce with poor inclusion. A workplace that tolerates discrimination is a workplace that tolerates preventable illness. These things are not separate. The Employment Equity Act requires that occupational health services are provided equitably, regardless of race, gender, age, disability, religion, or any other protected characteristic. This means all workers who require medical surveillance must receive it, regardless of which shift they work or how long they have been employed. Workers with disabilities must be accommodated in the examination process, accessible facilities, alternative communication methods, sufficient time. Workers whose home language is not English or Afrikaans must receive explanations they genuinely understand. CareNet Consultants is committed to equitable access. Our mobile units serve rural and remote sites where access has historically been a barrier. Our practitioners are trained in accessible and culturally respectful care delivery. Workers with disabilities have the same right to occupational health surveillance as any other worker. But disability requires thoughtful accommodation in the delivery of that care. A worker who is deaf must receive the medical explanation in sign language or written form, not spoken instruction. A worker using a wheelchair must access examination rooms without encountering barriers. A worker with an anxiety disorder may need the process explained in advance and conducted at a slower pace. These are not burdens. They are legal obligations under the Employment Equity Act and the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act. CareNet Consultants plans every site assessment with accessibility in mind. If specific accommodations are needed, communicate them to us before the visit. We will make the necessary arrangements. Gender matters in occupational health in ways that are not always acknowledged. Women in physically demanding industries face unique musculoskeletal risks that generic assessment tools designed for male workers may not capture accurately. Women who are pregnant have specific rights and protections under the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, including the right not to be required to perform work that is hazardous to their pregnancy. Gender-based violence, which has significant physical and mental health consequences, is a reality for many workers, and its effects appear in occupational health findings. At CareNet Consultants, we train our practitioners to apply gender-informed assessment practices. We believe that occupational health that ignores gender is incomplete occupational health. Psychological safety. The belief that one can speak up, ask questions, or raise concerns without fear of punishment is one of the strongest predictors of team health and performance identified by modern organizational research. Google's Project Aristotle, the largest study of team effectiveness ever conducted, found that psychological safety was the single most important factor in high-performing teams. In occupational health terms, when workers feel psychologically safe, they disclose health concerns early. They attend medicals without anxiety. They report hazards before they become incidents. They ask for help. All of these things reduce the health risks that CareNet consultant services are designed to address. Psychological safety is not a soft benefit. It is a hard health outcome. The Employment Equity Act requires employers with more than 50 workers to implement an employment equity plan that includes representation targets, barrier analysis, and reasonable accommodation measures for people with disabilities. But compliance is a floor, not a ceiling. What moves an organization from legal compliance to genuine inclusion? 4 things. First, visible leadership commitment, where the most senior people speak about inclusion, model it, and measure it. Second, training that changes behavior, not just awareness. Skills-based programs that teach how to interrupt exclusion when it happens. Third, feedback mechanisms that feel safe, anonymous reporting channels, and genuine responsiveness. Fourth, occupational health services that reflect your workforce's diversity. Practitioners who understand the cultural and physical realities of the workers they serve. CareNet Consultants is a BEE Level 2 compliant organization. This is not just a certificate on our wall. It reflects a deliberate commitment to building a team and a service that reflects South Africa's diversity. Our clinical staff are representative of the communities we serve. We conduct cultural sensitivity training as part of our practitioner development program. We engage with community health structures in the areas where our mobile units operate. We develop materials, including this video series, in a language and at a literacy level accessible to South Africa's working population, regardless of educational background. We believe that occupational health done well is occupational health done equitably, and we hold ourselves accountable to that standard. Every framework, every act, every policy about inclusion is ultimately trying to put into law something that Ubuntu already knows. I am because we are. Not I am despite you. Not I am better than you. Not I am the same as you. We are. The richness of South Africa, its 11 languages, its 20-odd official cultures, its urban and rural realities, its workers who arrive at site speaking isiZulu, Sesotho, Afrikaans, and 50 other tongues. This is not a complication to manage. It is the source of our collective strength. A workplace that honors Ubuntu does not ask people to leave themselves at the gate. It builds a space where every person walks in fully and leaves having been seen. That is inclusion. That is health. Before you go, here is something for every employer in this audience. Research published in the journal Health Affairs found that workers in inclusive workplaces report 27% lower sick day rates and 40% lower staff turnover than workers in non-inclusive environments. Inclusion is not a cost. It is one of the highest return investments you can make. From all of us at CareNet Consultants, your best is good enough for today. See you in our final video of Phase 5. CareNet Consultants, your partner in workplace health.